Have you heard about the new NAR lawsuit? I know it sounds like an opening line to a piece of gossip you're about to hear, something like that, right? And but guess what? It's exactly what's being said all over America right now, as we speak, probably. So the bottom line is that there's a settlement, and all signs point to it taking effect in mid-July. The National Association of Realtors, NAR, has agreed to pay about $418 million. Yeah, that's a lot of zeros, right? In a settlement. But it makes us as realtors, because I'm a member of that association, look pretty darn guilty of something, right? Like somehow, we're complicit in some kind of elaborate or nefarious scheme to bilk people out of their hard-earned money. Well, let's face it. I mean, consequently, we are, in the public's eye, public's minds right now. Frankly, damaged goods. Um, we're going to be seen as having a lot of negative baggage right now. Um, so they want for us to look like we're guilty, and this is like a shameful situation for us, and that somehow we've this is some kind of a crime that we perpetrated on the public. I'm Realtor Bert Tade, and I'm here to say that it can't be further from the truth. But I'm also here to humbly ask for you to listen to my perspective. Right? It's a narrative, right, and that of a real estate broker in one of the most important states for real estate, Texas. And the purpose of this video is really just to provide an opinion from a different perspective, right, a different viewpoint. And all I can ask is that you watch my video, right? Watch the whole thing. It's just going to take a few minutes here. I won't lie to you. But I want for you to watch it objectively, and follow some of the facts that I'm going to be laying out for you as it relates to this subject matter. Every step of the way as you watch it, right? And watch it with an open mind. And that's all I can sincerely ask of you, right? So the bottom line is that there's a ton of confusion surrounding um, this subject matter, and I'm going to share a few thoughts with you, and hey, maybe even who knows, repair some of the thoughts in your mind, and the folks who watch this video as it relates to their perception of real estate agents. Because right now, we are public enemy number one. You know, we are the enemies, right? In as real estate agents. And the last election cycle, of course, it was defund the police, right? Now it looks like they're trying to defund us, right, as realtors. So we'll dive into that a little bit here over the next few minutes. So there's a lot of damage being done to real estate agents, and there's statements like, they've made too much money for too long already. The cartel is over, and they can't make all that huge money anymore. And realtors conspired to charge all these fees, and the days are numbered for realtors. These are the kind of headlines that we're seeing, all over the place, all over the media, right? And the lawyers have, in effect, tarnished our reputation and our good names, right? And the NAR, again, full disclosure, I'm a member, right, of the National Association of Realtors. It just seems like they're not doing much, if anything at all, frankly, to repair our image, our damaged reputation, and the images that people have of us, right? Our good names. And it just seems like, our profession is being besmirched, every single step of the way. And that's because I've been faithfully and on time paying their dues, right? The dues of the Texas Association of Realtors, San Antonio Board of Realtors for almost 10 years now. I don't know. Never been late on a payment, like I said. I can't tell you, I'm not sure that I've heard boo from any of these people, and they need to come to defend us as a community. And by the way, the NAR, we're a community of over 1 million hardworking professionals. I mean, last time I checked, we were the largest trade organization in America. And by the way, over 100 years old, right? So, what's going on, right? Well, I'm just one guy, but I decided to film a video, and I thought maybe I could provide some facts on the subject matter. So let's see what you think, right? Let's start by talking about what has changed, right? Well, the buyers in the marketplace will now know in writing what services are offered and what's being given for the help that is being provided, right? And that's a good change because there's some clarity involved with what the buyers can now expect, from their real estate professional and for what they charge, right, for that amount. A lot of brokerages were doing that before, but now it's going to be a more formalized approach, right? And another thing, is that if the seller is offering compensation for the buyer's brokerage, it has to be called a concession, right? So it can't be advertised on the multiple listing services. That's another thing, the MLS. So it's a guessing game. It won't be posted on the MLS. Can't be from here on out, starting in like I said, July probably. And we can contribute to buyer concessions in the ubiquitously used 1 to 4 family residential contract, right, for resale in Texas under paragraph 12, settlement and other expenses. That's where we put the concessions in. How that's all going to play out, again, I haven't heard much from my association, so I know it sounds like I'm speaking out against them, but I'm frankly a little kind of, haven't heard much from them, and we would like some guidance here, So let's see how the forms are going to change. Maybe we'll just continue to put it in paragraph 12, right? Settlement and other expenses. That's where we've always put seller concessions before, up until this point, right? All of my years in real estate. So maybe we can advertise, how much our sellers are offering for these concessions on our websites. We think we can publicize it there so that we're not taking calls all day long. Hey, how much you offering from buyer's agents, right? Hey, how much you offering for this listing? How much you offering for this? We might be able to just advertise them on our individual websites, right? Maybe I'll just do that. BertnoSanAntonio.com is mine. And I also have a Spanish version. Si hablan español, mi sitio web es bertconoceasanantonio.com. But it's a wait and see, like I said. And the attorneys, frankly speaking, though, they're affecting our herd, right? If you want to call us a herd, they're infecting us. Because what they're doing is they're sending postcards to people. Have you ever gotten a postcard in the mail? I've gotten them. I used to own a Kia, and they settlement, class action lawsuit, and settlement. You could be entitled to compensation because you're a victim, and that kind of thing. Well, our clients are getting them now, saying they could be a victim of their real estate agent. So these postcards are really, really hurting us. It's tarnishing our image, our good names. So imagine that you and I, you're a client that I worked with, right? I helped you sell your home. And we just had coffee, just like I did with one of my inactive clients just yesterday. Ian and I had coffee. And by the way, I called them my inactive clients, not my past clients. I'm not my doctor's past patient just because I haven't been sick in a while, right? I'm still his patient, just haven't needed his services, right? Well, likewise, I like to call my clients my past client. Instead of past clients, I call them my inactive clients, right? Because there's some folks I've done business with, over almost a 10-year span. Here in San Antonio, I'm close to a lot of them, and a lot of them I've actually considered my friends, right? I've gone and had beers with them, So let's just call them my inactive clients, right? So imagine that you and I just spent some time together. You go home from our lovely outing, and you check your mail, and in the mailbox is this postcard that says, "You may be a victim and an eligible participant in a class action lawsuit in which you're entitled to compensation because your real estate agent most likely or might have overcharged you. Coercion, corruption, blah, blah, blah," right? Well, it's going to go on to say, simply submit your closing statement and you can be eligible to participate because your agent took advantage of you. Okay, well, with this, as my client, you could be eligible to receive between $21 to $27. Now, while it doesn't seem like a lot of money, I'm not scoffing at it. You know, money's money, right? But guess what? The damage is already done. You know, and oh, and by the way, the attorneys are the ones that are making all the money. You know, tens of millions of dollars. You know, while sellers are victims, the law firm representing these victims are making not $1 million, not $3 million, not even $5 million. They're making tens of millions of dollars by accusing us as realtors as it being unlawful to somehow collude and conspire to charge a fee of 3% on each side. And all of this is coming from attorneys who they themselves charge their own set fee. Talk about realtors having set fees. What about your set fee of 33 and a third percent, right? When they win, which evidently they did, they settled, right? Oh yeah, and it is a set fee of 33 and a third percent. But what are you going to do? You're going to go hire an attorney to sue other attorneys for charging what they do? Good luck on that, right? These guys make the laws, for crying out loud. What can I say, right? Sometimes I guess the world is kind of an unfair place. So we're kind of stuck in the middle. So they're basically saying, you know, I'm guilty because you were given money in a class action lawsuit in which I, Bert Tade, was a defendant, or the NAR anyway, who settled, and thereby assuming blame. I mean, let's talk about perception. We talked about that at the beginning of the video. It's perception. And somehow I was supposedly conspiring, or that I'm guilty of juking my clients out of their hard-earned money. Well, let me start by looking you straight in the eye and telling you emphatically that I have never victimized anybody in my entire life. I'm just not cut from that cloth, you know. Prisons are full of people that they just have a mean streak. I'm not even going to get on that subject. Let me just say that, what do they talk about, the revolving door of prisons, right? Something they just can't stay out of trouble. I just can't get into trouble. Not that I'm squeaky clean and everybody's got a skeleton or two in their closet, but I'm not victimizing people. You know, who am I, Bernie Madoff all of a sudden? You know, bilking people out of money? It was never our intention. And I can't speak for other people, but I should be able to speak for my profession and say, you know what, we're a pretty good and honest, well-intentioned group of professionals, right? And I think, you know, in fact, I've got a strength and quality of my relationships, you know, with my current and my inactive clients. I think that is excellent. You know, I've worked hard for them, and in turn, yeah, you know, I've been able to provide a living for my family. So now I feel compelled to fix these relationships, right? By explaining my side, you know, and really just preemptively addressing it with all of you. And everybody I've done business with, you will get a card from me in the mail, by the way. I'm happy to stay in touch with you all on a regular basis. I mean, you get my newsletter every month, don't you? I'm happy to spend the postage on that. Of course, I'm going to send you a card with probably a link to this video so you can watch it, right, in its entirety. Because I can't, obviously, it's a few minutes long. I can't, you know, very well write all that out on a greeting card, right? Though I'd like to see what I can do to make sure we're still cool, right? So, yeah, so let me educate you, you know, like I do in all my videos. Let me see if I can, you know, maybe from my viewpoints, you know, set the record straight, kind of. First of all, you know, to say that we all charge 6%, you know, for the two sides of the transaction for the commissions, you know, to say we all charge that is a clear and blatant violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. Now, I think we learned that, I want to say, in day one of real estate school. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You just don't talk about that kind of stuff. You don't say it. It would somehow, suggest that we're in some kind of a smoky room around a table, and we're colluding, we're conspiring, all these real estate brokerages, to charge the public a certain percentage. Well, for my entire real estate career, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have gone over and beyond my power to make sure that that was never done. If I ever even thought about compensation, I made sure of never saying it, as we all charge 6%. I made it a point of avoiding saying anything remotely close to that, like it's some sort of standard fee or something, right? So likewise, another thing to point out is that somehow the sellers were being charged a fee in the first place to compensate for the buyer's agent or their brokerage. The truth of the matter is that, let's say, I do charge 6% for my listing services. Let's just say, for example, commissions are negotiable. I can do whatever I want with those proceeds at closing. I'm a real estate broker. I'm paid directly, right, with my EIN. To my EIN, and then I get the 1099 MISC at the end of the month, at the end of the year, for my taxes, right? I can do whatever I want with those closing proceeds from my side, right? I can go to the Caribbean on vacation if I want with that money, whatever I want. Let's be clear with that. But I'm not gonna. I'm running a business. I choose instead to split that percentage, with the other brokerage, for them to bring an RWA buyer to the table to increase our chances, mine and my seller's chances of that the listing will sell. And by the way, this all came about because back in the old days, it came up on a HUD 1 statement, I think on line 1700, I want to say. That was where they had the brokerage fee. They used to cut one check. Again, whatever that percentage was, it was cut to the listing broker in full. Okay, and it came as a debit to the seller. Somewhere along the way, because then literally agents were showing up and knocking on the door of this listing brokerage and saying, "Hey, where's my check?" And they would literally say, "Okay," there were lines formed outside the brokerage, right, to go collect the check. Well, to make things easier, for the convenience of it, title companies began to then delve that out into two lines. Okay? Let's just say 6%, for example, 3% to Santino Properties LLC, my company, and 3% to, I don't know, Keller Williams Realty. Whatever. They had it on separate line items, but guess what? It was under the seller's column because there was nowhere else to put it. But that was so that they could cut two different checks for the convenience of it, so that the buyer's brokerage didn't have to come knock on the seller's brokerage door to come collect their money. So out of convenience in the industry, title companies began splitting them up and putting this, let's say, for the sake of this example, 6% into two different line items, 3% apiece. That's how it happened. So it looks like the sellers are paying the buyer's brokerage as well. No, they're paying Santino Properties, a listing brokerage. I just choose to split that with the buyer's agent so they can bring me their ready, willing, and able buyer. That's how that works, right? So the premise of the lawsuit, going back to this subject, is that, realtors were charging inflated prices, right? And buyers should be able to negotiate how much they're willing to pay their own agent and negotiate that as such, because commissions have always been negotiable, as I mentioned, right? Now, another big premise is that they want to bring home prices down. So the Department of Justice is involved in this. Like, they don't have anything better to do, really? As in, like, the FBI, Department of Justice? So they're saying they're trying to bring the home prices down. I'm not going to get political on you. I don't know who's pulling the strings here. I've heard different conspiracy theories, and it has to do with large hedge funds that are pulling the strings. I don't know. No idea. I'm not even going to surmise what could possibly be happening. All I know is that the Department of Justice is involved because they're trying to bring home prices down for the make homes more affordable. Okay, let's be honest here. The idea that you as a seller don't have to pay the buyer's agent, somehow you're going to be incentivized to pass on that reduction or that savings that you would typically pay to a buyer's agent, let's say 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever. But let me ask you, have you ever seen a for sale by owner and what they're asking for their house? They're not willing to pay any commissions. Like, they want to pay 0% of commissions. They don't want to pay anybody. And they want more for their house than even the market will bear. They're overpriced the house, right? They're trying to get more than market value. And do you know why? Because there's no pro involved, first of all. No real estate professionals giving them good advice, based on empirical data, evidence, on what has recently sold in that neighborhood based on past sales, right? So the idea of the lawsuit, in the first place is that if you don't have to pay your commissions, you're actually going to save the buyer's money by reducing the sales price of your home. That's the idea behind it. But guess what? I don't suggest you do that. I don't think you should reduce your price, and I don't believe that you should have their buyers, your buyers in the future, pay their own agent. So commissions are negotiable. They always have been. And yes, you can pay 0, but the home will cost the buyer more money than some of the other homes that are on the market at that time. So sellers are left scratching their heads right now. They've heard it. They've talked to people at work, and they're like, "Yeah, well, sure. Well, then if it's July, okay, well, we'll just, I'm not going to sign anything till July because then we don't have to pay any commissions. I'll just wait to list my house until July, or I'm only signing until then, and then I'm renegotiating with you afterwards." We've heard it all already. And hey, if the seller thinks that they don't need to pay agents a commission, why would they? Why would they want to? If they think they don't have to pay a buyer commission, okay, great. Awesome. They might be saying, well, I didn't know the commissions were negotiable from the beginning. They always have been. Well, I want to start offering 0 right now. You're welcome to do that. You most certainly are welcome to do that. For those of you watching, good luck. But we're already seeing situations, where buyers are saying, I only want to look at the homes, where the sellers are offering a fee to pay my agent so that my fee is covered. I don't want to pay an extra fee. So please only show me the houses, where I don't have to pay that extra fee. But let's be clear. I mean, nobody works for free, folks. That's the truth of the matter. That is the truth of the matter, right? I mean, buyer's agents will not be working for free, because somebody doesn't want to pay a concession. I mean, let me ask you a question. When was the last time your boss came to you and he or she said, okay, I got this really huge project for you. All right. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, maybe even a few months for it to materialize and just to handle the whole thing. You're going to be handling a lot of late night phone conversations, consulting with others, a tremendous amount of thought you're going to have to put into this project to ensure a successful outcome. And oh, by the way, uh, we'd like for you to do this one gratis. Sound okay with you? That's right. Yeah, we're not going to pay you on this one. Yeah, just if you don't mind if we just don't actually pay you on this project though. Would that be okay with you? What are you going to say? How in the world is that going to go over with you, right? Because you're used to being paid for your time, right? It's fair as fair, right? Free market society, right? I mean, you have the right to charge for your services. That's what you're doing, by the way. When you go into work tomorrow morning, you're being paid for your services, no matter what it is you do for a living. It's no different for buyer's agents, right? They deserve to be paid as well. Whether you're an hourly employee or you're salaried, you have a family to feed. So you're going to expect to be paid, right? Well, likewise, buyer's agents have families to feed as well. So the conversations we're having with sellers now is, let's talk about this very carefully. And let's talk about the pros and cons, right? Instead, let's expose your home to as many buyers as possible. And making it cost the buyers more money only makes you more money, but it gets fewer people that are interested coming through your front door. That's the bottom line, right? It's the one-time chance for you to get the most out of your house when they sell. And I think they're going to want to, not jeopardize and give all that money away, leave money on the table by eliminating interested buyers. Because at the end of the day, the more traffic you can generate and you can drive to the house, the better the price you can get in the long run. Let's just summarize it, right? So in reality, we're really not accomplishing the whole purpose of this whole lawsuit in the first place, right? Which is reducing home prices. We're only reducing commissions, okay? But you're trying to get the sellers to reduce the commissions and keep all the money. But what you're actually doing is making the home more expensive, because at the end of the day, you got to remember, time is also the most important thing. Haven't you heard of time is of the essence in real estate transactions? So it's super important that the buyer's agent's fee is already offered up front. Because if it's not, it's going to be part of the negotiation. They're going to go back and forth, so the first negotiation is price and terms, and they're going to be going back and forth. Well, how much you offering? Well, we're not offering anything. Well, what if we do this, and what if we offer that, and what are we doing here, It's going to be part of the transaction offer. So in the meantime, buyers might lose interest, begin seeking out homes where they are already offering that buyer's fee, and it's already being covered up front, right? And guess what? The lenders are not going to allow another cost to the buyers, like commission, and certainly not going to let you roll it into the loan, right? They'll have to cover that out. The buyers will have to cover that out of pocket. That's another fee, right? It's more money they'll have to pay. So the lender says, what if a lender said, you're not allowed to finance the first 6 months of payments? You got to pay that out of pocket. Well, now the buyers have more money they need to spend. And guess what? In this interest rate environment that we're currently in, buyers can afford less house anyway, if they can even qualify, right? So let's not make it hard on ourselves, even harder. And by the way, 3% commission on a house, it's just like 3 monthly payments that they're going to need to pay out of pocket. We have to spend that money out of pocket. So let's be clear, when I am taking a listing, I'm not going to try to convince the sellers of anything. In my listing appointments, at the end of the day, I don't care if they pay the buyers or not. Buyer's agent's fee, excuse me. I'm still going to make my fee, right? I get the same amount either way. But now we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot because now the home's not going to sell as fast. There'll be far fewer buyers interested in the home. Oh, and by the way, we might even have appraisal issues because every single buyer will ask for this to be built in to the price of the home. And now the contracted sales price is going to be inflated. So then the home's not going to appraise anyway. We've just opened Pandora's box, guys. Well, listen, it's not going to affect my income as a listing professional, but I owe it to you as a real estate advisor to share this with you so you understand the truth about what's going on here. If the sole purpose is to reduce home prices, by the way, as you can see here, just the opposite is going to happen. And homes are going to become more expensive. But in my opinion, I think the buyers are seriously, not going to consider homes that require them to pay that fee for their agent, right? So it's going to be more like, this home is $450,000. This home is $450,000 plus 3%. No, I think I'm gonna. That's like $13,500 more. I think I'll focus on the first one instead, the $450 where they're paying the fee. So, yes, it's negotiable, right? But you're gonna end up hurting yourself in some negotiations as a seller if you don't want to pay a fee. So just keep that in mind. So let's talk about some true numbers, right? Something came out, recently that I wanted to share with you, and that is that the average realtor made $49,000 last year. They only cleared $28,000. I mean, you can make more money than that working in a gas station. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's a noble profession. I mean, listen, I'm not going to cast aspersions on what another man or woman does, to earn a living. As long as it's honest work, right? But what happened to all that money we're supposedly making as realtors? My profession, I mean, the public thinks that, we all make, between $4 million a year and $7 million a year. But nothing can be further from the truth, guys. And all that talk these days about how all the realtors are doing is taking all the equity from the home sellers and we're making it harder on homeowners. But they're not saying that about everything else that you're looking to sell that has a fee involved. Everything has a fee involved. eBay takes a fee for selling on their site. A car dealer, when you trade your car in to buy another one, you want a brand new car, they're taking all your equity in order for you to get into that shiny new car. Think about it. It's called negative equity. They offer you peanuts for your car. It's so that they can take the car off your hands, right? Well, it's called negative equity, right? In order for them to bake in that $3,000 that they need to make to take the car off your hands, whatever. Think about that for a second. Where's the lawsuit in that one? But hey, look, it's like a brokerage fee, right? But Google, if you will, you can Google average, realtor income, depending on where you are in the country, and you'll see that it's anything from $28,000 to $250,000. Depends on the source, right? There's even stuff on the internet. You'd be surprised what you find, right? But you'll see stuff like the average realtor salary, which is even more curious because, we don't even earn $1 in salary. There's no such thing as a salary in real estate, right? We take chances on ourselves, right? We're in business for ourselves. And that leads me to my next point, because let's go with the truth here. We're actually small business owners, which means we have a lot of expenses. For example, with my brokerage, I have a team of people that I work with. Say they work for me, whatever. But it's the marketing people who manage our Facebook ads and our social media ads for us. It's the ads themselves, right? The ad spend. It's the website people. It's the print media that work for us. It's the printers who help us with postcards. It's the postcards themselves. It's the postage, which always seems to go up in price every year. Did you ever notice that? It's one of my major expenses, so I notice postage a lot. And it just seems like they just keep going up and up and up, right? And it's the printing of our monthly newsletter. Maybe, again, some of you watching this video are recipients of my newsletter every month. You already receive it, right? It's the postage to send those out. And it's the team who helps me address envelopes for marketing. And it's like I've told you in a lot of other videos. By the way, I'm going on almost 100 videos on YouTube now, right? That's something I'm proud of. Again, it's all about educating my audience, right? But if you watch my videos, that I'm also a target marketer. Okay, so for my listings. So that means that I pay data list brokers to identify the most opportune buyers for my listings to provide the necessary exposure that it takes to target the most likely consumers that would be most interested in buying that home, right? My listing. That costs me money. Money for my marketing budget. And yes, unlike most agents, I do actually have a marketing budget because it's what's necessary to successfully sell a home, especially in this market in San Antonio, right? So we tailor our messages, to those that would be most likely interested in buying a property, based on the characteristics of the home and even the characteristics of the buyers themselves. So then we formulate, complex online and offline marketing campaigns, right, through these channels, right? We create customized campaigns for specific homes that are tailored to those targeted audiences, who would be most likely to have that feverish response to the home, right? They'd be most likely to buy that house. So it's a thoughtful process that we employ, right, to find the right buyers, and it requires an investment on our part for our listings. And it far exceeds all that MLS stuff, by the way, right? I mean, it's, basically consists of the 3 Ps of real estate, right? And a lot of realtors do operate this way, right? Most do. Which is the 3 Ps of real estate is you place the home in multiple listing, you put a sign out in the front yard, and you pray that another agent will come with one of their buyers and sell that listing for you or for them. But hey, there's definitely a value, what we offer here at Santino Properties LLC, right? And it costs money to run all this. That's the bottom line, right? It costs money, and there's an expense involved in running a real estate business at any level, no matter how much marketing you do. So the last thing I will say, about how the settlement is drafted, is that when we work with buyers, we'll essentially, have to have a conversation about compensation with them up front, right? They'll have to agree to pay us a fee for our services, in writing, by the way. Could be a flat fee, a percentage of the sales price, whatever that is, because again, commissions are negotiable, but that'll also actually probably take place even before we show them the first house, just to ensure we're not working for free, by the way, right? I mean, I've heard some scenarios, where we're going to be on the hood of a car, with our buyer representation agreement, which in Texas is 5 pages. I don't know if we're going to, still use that one, or they're going to give us another one again. They haven't told us anything. But literally on the hood of a car, filling it out and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe. We'll do whatever we need to be successful, right? And, if the sellers are paying a fee, by the way, it will be in the way of a concession, as I mentioned. It's no longer called a commission to a buyer's agent, but a concession. Well, that's what the agent will receive if they are offering that. So in other words, if an agent, a buyer's agent has negotiated 3% of the sales price with their clients for their services, but the seller is only offering 2%, then that agent only earns 2%. Okay. They can't go back as a part of this lawsuit that can't go back and ask for those additional funds or percentages, whatever, from the buyers or the sellers for that matter, right? That's another thing that has changed, right? So that's it. If the seller is offering a fee, a concession, then that's what the buyers will receive. Buyer's agent. So, what are the services that a buyer's agent provides? This is the last point I want to make. Well, let's talk about that for a moment because it has to be a compelling reason why the buyers would even be incentivized, to want to pay an agent a fee, right? Because gone are the days of I want to represent your best interests, or I care about your business, or I grew up here in the city and I know it like the back of my hand, or I know all the neighborhoods or something like that. And by the way, it's like literally 19,000 plus neighborhoods in the city of San Antonio, but legal and common names, for the subdivisions. So nobody truly knows all of them. But things like, I can set you up with a search. I can even set you up with a real-time search so that the properties get delivered to your email as soon as they become available, Nowadays, you know what? That's minimum standard stuff. I mean, they don't need you for that, right? So they could easily set up their own searches on Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever. You don't need an agent for that, and you certainly don't want to pay a fee, a 3% fee, out of your pocket just for that. So, I mean, a lot of people think that we just fill out paperwork and wait for closing. That's it. Get paid a lot of money for just that. They think that's all we do. But no, beyond everything else that's involved in buyer agency, it's extensive, by the way. And I won't go into all the things that we do as buyers agents when we represent those clients, those consumers. But if you've worked with me on the buy side, you've seen all the steps that are involved, and at the very least, you have to think about, how you as a buyer are going to be counseled on what a fair price is to pay for that home that you're interested in, right? If this house is going to be properly negotiated, you need to have the appropriate sales price of what you should pay for that house, and keep you on track with all of the deadlines that are in the 1 to 4 family contract. Have to know. I mean, or that's how you get your earnest money protected because your agent's bird dogging that for you. And it's critical that you meet those deadlines and that you're in touch with the right professionals at the appropriate times, right during due diligence. The inspectors. I always recommend 3 home inspectors, but if there needs to go have a more in-depth evaluation, such as a professional like a licensed roofer or a licensed master plumber, something like that, I've got all those people lined up. That's what a buyer's agent does, right? And and we as licensed agents have to know all these forms that are promulgated by TREC, the Texas Real Estate Commission. We have to know them inside and out. So, for example, you got to know all 23 paragraphs of the ubiquitously used that I talked about earlier, 1 to 4 family resale contract in Texas. And you know that a professional with a high level of competence is going to help you navigate, through the complexities of these 2 main negotiations you're going to be doing, right? We talked about that a minute ago. It's for price and terms up front. That's the first one. And the second one is for repairs, during the due diligence period, right? You have to negotiate for repairs. It doesn't matter if you're working with an inspector of 2 years experience or 32 years. They're always going to tell you the same thing. No house is perfect. They're going to find something. And listen, beyond all that, I also have a really cool a 13-part buyer series. So I have 13 videos on my YouTube channel. Check that out. It basically walks through step by step. It's a few minutes long each video. Step by step, start to finish, getting you across the finish line there, and another way that I choose to, educate my audience, right? Filmed them several years back, but all of the things that are in those videos are still relevant, still very accurate. I'm telling you this a long time ago because you're going to see me with a beard that I wore for 8 years straight. You can see me with a tie and stuff like that. So I'm not going to look the same, but I mean, you get the idea, right? 13 videos that you can watch and know a step by step process, right? And more importantly, though, if you've been following my content online, you've seen, on different media, you'll remember that for a complimentary program, for all my buyer clients that I'm working for, which is called my Perfect Home Finder program, right? It's a proprietary approach by which I spend my own money out of my own pocket to help you to find that special house you're looking for. So, even if you think you're too picky or that perfect home you're looking for doesn't exist out in the market, we can take all of your criteria, all your must-haves, and put our marketing dollars out into the community to help you find the perfect home that checks all the boxes, so to speak, right? It would be an off-market property through a ready, willing, and able seller, right? I would connect you, the ready, willing, and able buyer, with the seller who's had a notion to sell. They just didn't want to engage the services of a realtor, or didn't want to have to stage the home and take the pictures and get stood up for appointments, for showing appointments and stuff like that. They didn't want to go the traditional route, but we're still going to pay them a fair price for their house, right? Whatever it's worth. And I negotiate that almost like a pre-market listing. So that's something that we also do, which is very, very unique, and that I know of, nobody in San Antonio offers that. So those are some of the benefits of working with me as your buyer's agent, of course, right? But a buyer's agent, it should also buyer agency should also consist of good, sound advice. So, for example, I've been talking to you in my videos about how it's critical that right now is the time to make a move. By the way, right? If you need to make a move, there's a necessity there. It's just for whatever reason, maybe not, right? Unless you have the cash and at your disposal, then yeah, let's go negotiate a good price for you, a good deal with your cash. But if it's financing, okay, so the interest rate's a little bit higher, right? Because if, maybe you've thought about it, or it may be nice to move or something like that. It's none of those types of scenarios. It's a life-changing event, right? That necessitates you moving. Well, if that's the case, there's some really good inventory right now in the San Antonio marketplace. In addition to my Perfect Home Finder program I was just talking about, right? So you don't want to buy when the rates come down. You don't. Because that's when all of the buyers are going to come out to play all at once. So do you really want to pay an extra $10,000? $15,000, $25,000 for the home? Because I can show you of examples of when the rates were low. They were super low, but you can also pay $30,000 over asking price. So how high do you really want to go, right? Yeah, you get a better interest rate, but number one, can you even find the house? And number two, how much more do you have to overpay for it in a bidding war, right? So right now is the time to buy a house. I'm not just saying that. If you have to move and you can get qualified for a mortgage, you can afford it, right now is the time to shop. So that's another thing that we do as buyer's agents, right? So we give you that type of professional advice, right? Good, sound recommendations. So getting a house, when rates are higher, but you can qualify for the house and nobody else can qualify, that means you can get a better deal. Then you can refinance your mortgage later if it ever becomes cheaper, right? Because it's going to cost you $4,000 to refinance that mortgage, but it's going to cost you a lot more for that house whenever the rates become lower. A lot more than $4,000. So when the rates are lower, more people qualify for the home, and it's simply a function of supply and demand, right? We can talk about cars, we can talk about hand sanitizer, we can talk about paper products, whatever. If demand goes up, you know what? The price goes up too. Demand goes down, they'll essentially give it away. So anyway, those are the facts. That's it. That's what I wanted to share with you. So thanks for watching so far. Almost done here. I just wanted to kind of tell you that that's the real estate business in which we're entering into. We're in April 2024 right now. July just a couple months away, right? Hopefully, you found this information helpful and useful. That it's been of service to you. And I want to call upon you. Not as fair weather friends, but instead as loyal friends. Who are willing to defend me and my profession, in which I chose to serve, right? In which I competently serve and faithfully serve the public, competently serve the public, with integrity, transparency, honesty. It's why I coined the phrase a long time ago, passionately helping real estate consumers achieve the American dream one home at a time. It used to be on my business card, in fact, my old ones, right? I changed it last year. I took my picture off, and you don't even know what I look like. I mean, you already know what I look like, right? And this silhouette of me, from a few years back with a beard and whatever. I mean, it's not helpful and doesn't really provide any value to the person that receives my card anyway. Instead, I have a QR code on it and just the pertinent information, right? But I'm humbly calling upon you to speak out, in favor of what is 100% still a very noble profession. I would argue that we keep home prices down. They're trying to argue the opposite and saying that we're raising the price of houses. No, because without our sound advice to keep those prices, only pay what they need to be paying, how else are we going to keep those home prices in check? How else are people not overpaying for houses? They wouldn't know the first thing about how much to pay for a house otherwise, right? So I would love to, basically ask you to support me. I'd love to hear, I'm committed to supporting you. I'm committed to defending you. We worked with you before. We know you. We know you're not made like that. You're not cut from that cloth. We don't believe that you victimized us or whatever. But I don't want for you to base your commitment to me, and my profession, based on what you hear and see on the media, right? Clickbait, hyperbolic headlines, fanciful exaggerations, right? Catchy phrases, because they're usually, let's face it, sleazy. An unfair attempt to get to capture eyeballs, right? And through negativity, by the way, right? Just watch my sipping coffee or tea with Realtor Bert Tade series, my educational series. I always talk about that. We try to maneuver through the hype and even the media negativity, about the real estate profession, right? That's what we talk about, right? In my videos, because that's how they stack and they pad their viewership numbers, right? However it is that they quantify that, however they measure it, you get more eyeballs, right? But I'm with you, the public, through thick and thin. And there's a certain freedom and security that can be found in knowing that we as real estate professionals are in your corner, right? We're in it for the long haul. And we want you to know that we're committed to you, the real estate public, the consumers. We want for you to be educated in real estate, the real estate marketplace. And I want you to know that, though I feel like I've been punched in the face, frankly speaking, I got a little bit of a black eye that I'm showing. But that beyond a shadow of a doubt, nevertheless, I'm here for you. I'm Bert Tade. I'm broker owner of Santino Properties LLC, and I want to thank you for watching my video. And I sincerely want you to know that I would love your feedback and your comments. So feel free on whatever platform you're watching this on to leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think about some of the changes in the industry, and listen, your unfettered comments about what you think about realtors. frankly speaking. It could be bad, it could be good. I'm interested to hear. But hopefully, this information has been helpful for you and has helped to kind of sort through some of the media headlines. So, again, I want to thank you sincerely for watching my video. And that's it for now.